It's Sergeant De Leon, retired 2014 Army, and I am in Oro Valley, Arizona. It is early morning Saturday, and couldn't be a better morning. I tell you, this is the time to be here in Arizona. I got my dogs out here. I got Tasmanian, Tammany, and Tammany. I call them Tazzy and the Tasmanian Tamanat. She's not all there though. She ain't quite right. She's a little tired, so we call it Tardy T for Taz. Hmm. And then Bully Bull over there, she's the princess of the house. She's the bird dog. You know, she got everything. I don't even know how to explain it. And I love bringing them out here in the morning. It's this vacant lot. Uh, it's the same person that sold us our house on the lot that they sold to Meritage. They built us a house there, and this is part of their lot, and they're going to build on here. But I'm using it to take the dogs out and run around. They can get their exercise. I'm all about letting dogs run off leash. Um, it's a little tricky. I usually don't let them off leash when there's a lot of dogs around, unless it's in a caged area like a dog park. But I try to keep them solo. I teach them to stick around, hang around me in the wheelchair here. So I train them to do that. They know who feeds them, right? So, so they stick around. Took a little while to train each one of them, and they do fairly well now. Other dogs come around. I happen to run into them every now and again, but they do pretty good. Um, they Bullet here, right over there. She's no stranger danger, man. She'll go anywhere with anybody. She tends to go up and sniff and jump on the people and want to play, but she comes back. She has a radius, so it's fantastic. Bring them out in the morning, let them run free, uh, let them feel like it ain't all work, and they get to do what they want. It is snake season, so I got to be a little careful. I have to check out where I'm going. I mean, they these dogs don't have snake training, but Bullet over here, the bird dog, she was hanging around one of my other dogs that had snake training. Had to put him down for cancer. He was a bird dog also, and she sort of learned off him a little bit. We had a couple of snakes in our backyard before we had a chance to snake proof our yard, and so she did okay without having snake training. So I'm not too worried about her. Um, but the other one, like I said, she's not quite right. So she's a little tired, but I think she's so timid that she'll stay away. So I'm out here, Orville, Arizona. I am a veteran. Um, I get on this Restream and I do some videos every now and again. I advocate for myself because no one else will. It is unprecedented that I don't have someone out of the 100 or more people that I have asked for help and it seems like everyone so far. DAV, VFW, an attorney, the VA, all Wounded Warrior Program, our dignitaries, senators, Congress people, uh, and I guess I'm doing something wrong. It's been about 8 years since I haven't had any help. Most of the time is wasted on misinformation, uh, 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 dis, uh, they try to discredit me. They sandbag and keep me waiting for a file to go through or be applied through the VA. 6 months here, 6 months there, all adds up, and all of a sudden it's 8 years. Right? I've been a good veteran, doing everything I'm supposed to, but I'm finding that commitment is very hard to find. All right, commitment is very hard to find. Um, I growing up, I I was, I grew up in the projects, so grew up very poor. Um, I didn't know, until I started mingling around, and it was sort of like, hey, McDonald's, hey, how much money is that? What's money? Until people started having money to do things, we didn't have anything. Then it reflect at home when you start getting older. But um, I developed a cephnoid sinus infection. That's a cephnoid. It's in the back underneath the brain. It's not your sinus cavity. It's a cephnoid. It produces moisture to help your nose and throat and all that not dry out. You're not supposed to have any liquid in there, and I have liquid in my cephnoid sinus. I just had a terrible, extremely terrible um, sinus infection, where I looked at it myself. I have one of those ear cameras. I threw it down my throat and in my nose, and man, I didn't know we can have such a bad infection up in there. My voice was raspy. I couldn't hardly talk just 2 days ago or so, and it's clearing up. I'm doing some home remedies. I took 4 bottles uh, call it antibiotics, and they didn't work. Um, the commitment I was talking about earlier is I can't find a doctor to commit to help me to give me a diagnosis of what I am telling them was wrong with me. I have a central nervous system dysfunction. Um, it is tied to a TBI, and it's the type of demyelination, a TBI that is like a demyelination. Demyelination mean like a MS. It acts like a MS, and what happens is, if you know anybody with MS, it tends to uh, get rid of fine motor function across your body from time to time. Mine is it doesn't come back. So when mine goes, it's gone. So I have about 85 to 90% across my entire body. You can't tell because I make it look good. I just bought some hand controls because I can't use my right arm, and part of my left arm is weak, so I have to kind of swing my arms around to do anything, and my everything else. And so this guy says, "Man, you make it look good." I said, "I know," but he says, "I see now that I'm sitting here, I can see that what's going on with you, but immediately you look fantastic." I said, "Hey, man, thanks." Right? And I was healthy. I was healthy as an ox, a horse. Um, and I can't find a doctor, and a doctor can't find me Oh, oops, something. Or a doctor can't find me to give me the proper medical evaluation. I haven't been evaluated per federal code SOP, the VA, for a possible TBI, maybe we should just test him for a TBI, or any type of TBI evaluation. They've have tested me for everything else aside TBI. So you wouldn't believe what I've been tested for. Well, the basic stuff: cancer, diabetes, which I do have. It came on early. I am susceptible to it in my family, but as I said, I'm very healthy. If I was going to be getting it, I probably would have got it in my late years. If at all. I've been very, very healthy. Went to military. As soon as I got out of the military, I got diabetes because of the TBI. Um, I got pancreatitis. I don't sniff cocaine. I don't do drugs. I don't inject drugs. I don't do any drugs whatsoever. I just take my medication that I'm supposed to, and that's it. Um, so I got pancreatitis. I also get the tremors, and these tremors are the strangest thing. It's like Parkinson's, and it comes on every now and again, depending if I get stressed out, uncomfortable with the situation. It tends to wait a few, but I end up getting it throughout the day or the night. Recently, I've been getting tremors, and they're really bad. Um, Mostly in my legs, but it's everywhere. On my body, my head, everywhere. Um, I've been getting them in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping. I sleep about 4 hours a night. So when I get tremors, I'm up. I can't sleep, so I just stay up. They last about an hour, and I take steroids that I have not been given medication for. I have to go to Mexico, or I have somebody give me the medication through Mexico, and I use it. It helps me. It stops the tremors about 12 minutes, uh, and so then I wait for the next one. So I can't find a doctor to commit to doing their job, which is give me the benefit of the doubt because of such extreme disability that I have. I got this. It looks like I had a stroke, but this is. I had a dentist thinking I was tougher than nails, which I am. But I had mentioned to this dentist that I have a central nervous system problem, and he might want to numb me up really good, right? So I don't feel the pain, and be very careful about trying to jerk the nerve around in there. They pulled my tooth, and man, it was hurt. It was hurting real bad. I guess he thought, I was boshing with him or something, but it was some pain, man. I didn't have time to strangle the dude. I was in such pain. And when he was done, about 2 hours later, I lost some function in my mouth, my face, and my mouth area. And so the nervous system I have, the central nervous system, um, it's a unique, sort of strange thing I've never heard of before, ever. And I have never heard of anybody else talking about it. But my central nervous system is I suppose it's whacked out. It's sort of sensitive to pain and injury. So if you were to, like, I had surgery in my right arm. Um, After they did this surgery, the nerve was affected to a degree where the central nervous system uh, is already injured up here in the brain, and this nervous system is shocked. It shut down the fine motor function of my right arm. I'm able to do some stuff with it, but I can't control it. It's involuntary stuff. Um, so I could like this thing, I can just mount it, and my hands will stay shut a little bit, but I can't control it. If you just open my hands, it right open, and if you push my arm down, it'll just pull off. But so 85 to 90% fine motor dysfunction, my eyes, my neck, my oh, and so the Cephnoid, I just got it. I've been very precautious about things like infections because I can get meningitis. This was in my cephnoid. Like I said, if you don't know anything about a cephnoid, every time I say cephnoid, sinus, when I say sinus, everyone says, "Oh yeah, I've had that. You're going to be okay." And I said, "No, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. The cephnoid, yeah, yeah, the cephnoid. That's what my dog. No, 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 no." And so, um, you don't if you don't know what you're talking about, you immediately would have said, "Oh yeah, the little thing in the back where it does just moisture and stuff. That's different than your sinus cavities." And they would say something, but they're too eager to want to be right, and make sure them and tell me that I'm going to be okay. That's all everybody tells you. You're going to be okay. So I started using home remedies, lemon, vinegar, lime, and the Benadryl, all that other stuff I've been taking, and it seems to I minimized it, but it hasn't left, and I am having like a stuffy. It just feels like something deep inside is not right, and so I can't get uh, a CT scan to be read on time for me to go to the hospital to maybe get an IV to kill this infection. I can't. Nothing happen. Nothing goes right for me. All right. So what I'm ultimately looking for is a diagnosis of a TBI, traumatic brain injury. Okay, that will solve pretty much all my beneficial problems and my medical care through the VA. Right now, I'm only receiving medical benefit care for my diabetes and my PTSD. They give me. I don't even go to counseling, nothing like that. I just get medication sent in through the mail. Um, I had back surgery. That was part of my injury in total, where I sustained two head injuries. Um, and I had surgery on that. As soon as I had surgery on that in 2010, 11ish, I lost the function of both my legs. So I'm in a wheelchair. I've been in a wheelchair since 2011, uh, and now I sort of live in this imaginary bubble where I got to be extremely careful about what I do, and it sucks. It's terrible. It's no way to live. I'm limited to it's like living as a Tasmanian devil or Speedy Gonzales, and I can't do anything. I have to walk. I have to uh, crawl. You know, it's absurd. Like a hummingbird. You're like, hey, you can't fly fast like that, man. You're ill. No, So, like I said, I can't get a doctor. I have a problem with doctors now. And I've been having problems with doctors since I learned the ethics of doctors. I can't get my a dignitary, that means senators, congresspeople, to help me and follow through with setting me up, even if I have to do it myself, right? Even if I have to do it myself, setting up so I can follow through with getting my diagnosis and go through a process of figuring out how to get this veteran here the proper assistance from the VA that you guys, the taxpayers, are paying, so I can get the treatment. All right. So you know the confusion with some of this is that um, I didn't have enough documentation while I was in Iraq fighting sons of bitches and trying to stay on mission because I was in my unit. I was one of the more mature people, enlisting late in the military just to go to Iraq to help. And I wasn't there to make friends. So, a lot of people didn't like me in this unit, but uh, um, I got my mission done and, I stuck it out. So, my character was, hey, if I get an injury here and there, I'm going to move on if it doesn't kill me first. And so, the bar was way up here, man. I mean, you had to throw a bullet right through my head and kill me for me to go to the hospital or be a zombie, right? So I got a couple of injuries and went through it. I got a hand injury that actually put me down for about a week, less than a week, couple of days, and uh, that's where I got surgery and lost the function of my arm and hand and other stuff. And it was vague uh, 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 documentation. Um, and so when we left Iraq, when I became stateside, I elected to get my health care done as needed when I got home instead of staying at this base. When you demobilize, you come back from a war zone, you kind of decompress a little bit and you see if, issues come up or whatever. I definitely didn't want to stay with those sons of bitches anymore. I wanted to get home. Um, and I was able to walk and do everything I needed. Right? I mean, I was having some problems, but sciatic nerve, brain fog, that kind of stuff. But I wasn't worried about it. Like I said, it had to be bad enough to where it was strange, odd, and I really needed to get taken care of. But it wasn't at that point. But it did escalate quickly as soon as I got home. I ended up working for the border patrol with the National Guard for 18 months, and um, that didn't help me when I started to shortly um, claim that I was having some serious head issues and back issues. And um, so when I got my back injury, started losing function of my legs, I claimed, hey, what's going on here? I didn't know. And uh, my unit, okay, listen to this shit. My unit, coming back from Iraq, we had our conics. All our information was sent to Kuwait conics, and then it ships from there back to the states. Well, they lost. My unit lost just about all of our medical files, paperwork, and I was unable to get copies of it. Um, I can't even remember the isolated bases I went to, to get the medication for pain, and I just don't remember anymore. But I know I went to a couple of hospitals, um, and so that's part of the problem. So poor documentation. So now that I'm claiming this TBI, the VA is frauding me. They're putting me in the fraud bucket. Can you fucking believe it, man? So the obvious nature of what they call the VA, the benefit of the doubt clause. It's like, well, if it's such a severe disability and it's unique and it happened in a time frame, um, where else would it had happened other than where you came from? So it's slap in the face, just obvious what's going on with me, and yet I'm being discredited, uh, misinformed, I'm being uh, misguided, and also mistreated and treated very poorly, like I'm some sort of a thief or a liar. And I've had some doctor be racist toward me, while my wife's sitting there with me, and completely discredit my claim, saying that I'll move my body parts when I feel like it to my wife. He told her, because my wife asked the question, well, what's wrong with him? He's dealing with this thing. I just like to know what's wrong with him. And he said, well, I don't know what's wrong with him. She said, come on, you got to know it's something. Give us something. And he said, well, look, there's nothing wrong with your husband. He'll move his body parts when he feels like it. I mean, absolutely disrespectful. Okay. I have to put up with this shit. Okay. In turn, it's been 8 years, 8 to 10 years that I haven't had one son of a bitch. And I'm sorry I have to say that, but I'm so frustrated with the lack of commitment and professional ethics with these doctors to just look at me and say, dude, you know, and so I'm stuck in this cycle of shit that, they can't see anything in my brain that looks like, a bullet, or, a obvious, like trauma. But, again, you can't see trauma from people who have TBIs that are that have TBI diagnosis right now, who are working. And so, um, it begs the question of, this is all purpose. So I'm being treated this way because the can is being kicked down the road and nobody wants to stop it, because then they have to answer for, I don't know, something like helping with the investigation, maybe filling out paperwork, maybe it goes against their ethics, maybe, I don't know, something. Nobody wants to deal with me. And it's a damn shame, because if it was their kid, if it was them, if it was their wife or husband, they'd be on it in a millisecond. But my wife and my family have to suffer with me going through a lot of shit, medical issues, medical mental issues. Here's the other thing, people. Here's the other thing. I'm gonna transition into what I see across the country now. I have mental health issues. I go through things that I don't like to share. Um, I have some serious, um, what would you call it? Like uh, premonitions that it's almost like I have another me in me. And that's about as far as I want to go right there. But I have mental health issues. I have this anger that I'm glad that is in control. I have medication for anxiety and depression and some stuff. And um, I the thing about it is, I'm not afraid that I'm gonna hurt somebody else. I'm afraid of what I'm capable of doing. Does that make any sense? Um, because I think of the stuff, it's some crazy thinking, but I definitely have, I definitely have mental health issues. Now, when I see and hear people talk about mental health issues across our country, I just say bullshit. We don't have a mental health crisis in our country. We have a behavioral health crisis. Okay, we got indignant, arrogant people, you know, running around, you know, I don't know, trying to find somebody to, you know, protest with or something, like they had like it's my right to protest and protect other people. I mean, it's a bunch of shit. You know, they need to get a job and stop messing around, right? They don't, I mean, there's so many things that they can do to help. They can help veterans. They can volunteer their help to do better, help veterans, help elderly people who don't have any family. They can help, build for homeless people. They can help with volunteer for the police, maybe the hospitals. I mean, there's so many damn things that they can do. Instead, they wait around for some bullshit to happen, thinking that it's like a what would you call it, like a penance, penance that, oh, I gotta fight for something, you know join the military then, right? And so we don't have a mental health crisis, people, in our country. We don't. I'm telling you, I have a fucking mental health problem. uh I avoid situations so that way I don't get in a situation. Okay, the guy that just was in the subway and killed that black dude with the chokehold, but there's obviously some issues um, with this guy. This chokehold was questionable, but you know um, that would be me. But I wouldn't just chokehold him. I break the son of a bitch's neck. You know, I don't. I avoid everything so I don't have to deal with me. All right. And in doing so, I'm taking responsibility for my actions. Okay. That's the behavioral part. The mental health part, I'm isolating myself. It's the best thing. Okay. The world, the United States of America, my home, we don't have a mental health crisis, people. I keep fucking telling people. It's not a mental health crisis. Some of the shit that they're doing on the street and these people are doing, I've seen it when I was growing up in the projects. It's a behavioral health issue. Oh, we're poor. That's a behavioral health issue. Oh, I want to riot. I'm angry. That's a behavioral health issue. Oh, I want to be a woman because I'm a man. That's a behavioral health issue. Some of them do have mental health issues, but you can't classify it and put a blank, you know, diagnosis over everything. No, mental health issues are very specific to what's going on with that person, and it doesn't always have to be that they're transvestite. I knew some transvestites back in the day before all this shit blew up with transvestites. And this person was um, not mentally ill. It's a behavior issue. Okay. So, but yeah. So again, a mental health crisis is not warranted for the United States. It's a behavioral health issue, and we don't want to label it that way because we don't want to deal with it. Okay, we want to make it something easier so it can be more clinical. Whereas behavior stuff, that's like hands-on shit. That's more prison time. It's more jail time. It's more, consequences, fines, and things like that police have to deal with, and we don't have a lot of police on the street anymore. So it's a shame that we have to avoid it, just like this other issue. Now, I grew up in the project, so I grew up with black Americans. Okay. God bless the USA. Okay. Um, Again, indignant, arrogant black people. So let's make it to where I'm not being rude and I'm not like trying to, make it seem like the black people are solely the problem. So again, I grew up in the projects, literally grew up with a Negro attached to my hip. Okay. So don't give me no shit. Um, when the United States was establishing itself, when we started to create a nation, okay, don't think too hard. Okay. Just think of the United States was just starting. And I don't mean like, monkeys and, giraffes and alligators and shit here on the land and dying. No, I'm talking about, George Washington came over, the Civil War, the Revolution, all the stuff, right? Well, when the nation is just beginning to form, all right, it doesn't care about what your situation is. Okay. And at that time, slavery was a commodity. All right. Slavery wasn't a race issue. Okay. Slavery was a means to an end. All right. And it wasn't just the United States people that were working the slavery. Um, it was everyone. The entire world was doing it. Okay. Um, the African Americans who were enslaved at that time did not build America. Let's get that straight. Okay. You didn't build America, black folks. You didn't do it. You didn't even build the pyramids. So lay off on that shit. You guys were Nubians from down south or north, whatever that direction is, from Egypt, and they used you guys as slaves to help build the pyramids. You guys were slaves. Okay. And then later you guys started to integrate and become, involved in more high power positions, which is ironic, which is very ironic right now. Um, so as the nation was being built, consequences and sacrifices uh, were critical. They were happening. They weren't planned out. Um, and Unfortunately, we didn't have enough smart people, wise people to. Well, Abraham Lincoln, what he did mention something about this, where we could have sent the African Americans after the Emancipation Proclamation back to Africa or wherever the hell they came from. Okay. Not to say there would have been some lingering around, but the majority of them expedite, right, the immigration. And we didn't even have immigration at the time. So could have sent them back and could have had to minimize the issue of racism and having to now what they want is restitution or what is it? Uh, yeah, whatever that shit is. And so so now that since the African Americans had to go through a couple of hoops before became racist that people didn't want them around them, right? And then after that took place, um, um, it wasn't a surprise that they didn't want, so they became um, very discriminative, right? And in their right, they could have. There was no laws. There was no. We were just building a nation. Um, so as they stuck around, started to populate, you know, now forward to now, they have slowly integrated into the American system, which now they have official positions. And it took a while, right? I'd say like what was it, 9/11? They were still sort of not in high ranking positions, governmental and private, right? They were just sort of kind of getting into it. They were being I wouldn't say allowed, but I'd say they were being screened for it more than not before that. And so now they have this these high ranking positions with responsibility to control and ironically control the people that they see hurt them the most, right? And so they're going to have a revenge type attitude, and it's like giving a child a weapon, a pistol for the first time, wielding this pistol, and you got to teach this child, hey, look, these are the rules and regulations, right? So that's kind of how I see the African Americans right now. They have all this power, but they're unfortunately Democrats as well, except for a few. And it's they really don't know how to address it. It's like they got the power and they're like, oh, now I have, now I have the chance to ruin you, right? Instead of like, hey, I really need to assimilate here, and we've been giving. Look how far we have come. There are brothers and sisters too. So we got to keep them in check, people. We have to keep them in check, and they'll have to learn. You know, um, they'll have to learn the hard way. So that's the way I see it with them. Nothing new happened back in the day in Egyptian days, and it's happening now. Ain't that ironic? Sure is, man. So there's no surprise, people. There's no surprise. Again, indignant people, arrogant people, especially African Americans right now, they don't know how to behave. Um, you give them a little bit of wiggle room to be in movies and be president and have all the power to swing it like a sword. And yet they tend to ruin everything. Look at the Democratic cities that are running in our nation. They're terrible by democratic officials. They don't know how to do shit. So we got to kick them out, right? It's their own fault. They have to learn. Um, it's unfortunate that we can't have those few who are Republicans or who have it all together, some sensibility, and they're able to, business owners. They can, they can get it together and at least work with Republicans or work to help out our nation, right? God bless those folks because they struggle. They put up a lot and they put up with a lot, you know, and so lots of great wisdom there with those folks. But again, the majority, you give them a little wiggle room, you give them a little power, and they think they fucking run the world. Okay, give a Mexican some money who doesn't have any education, never had anything to live under, and all of a sudden, he's Scarface. He thinks he runs the world. It's just arrogant. So um, and that's why we're in the situation we are, folks. Giving give we're allowing people with behavior problems to express themselves overly and conduct radical changes as they are in charge officially with some of the power. So instead of reflecting on, like, wow, look how far we have come, there's really nothing we can do about our history except to honor it. You don't have to forget it. You don't have to make people pay for it, considering a nation was being built and you guys were involved in it. Okay, the best country, the best nation in the universe. You're never going to find another one like it ever. All right. So, um, so we got to nip that in the butt, people. We have to nip it in the butt. Um, it's gonna hurt. It hurts. It hurts to be honest, right? And I said it on my Facebook page, and um, um, and I really believe that you know the the uh, the Nigger word is just another word. All right, and until the African Americans see it as just another word, they're never going to be entirely free. They're never going to feel free because of that word, and it's just a word. Sure, it has um, it's tied to all sorts of bad stuff, but you know that's how I think about that. All right, sticks and stones sure did break your bones, but the word should never hurt you. All right. Um, and so that transitions us into the transgender. Whoa. That's a it's so silly that it has to be a mental health issue, right? The transgender situation. Um, it doesn't bother me much, the transgenders. It's just an obvious behavior issue with some mental health issues. Those guys got to screen them more, or vice versa. But what really bothers me is the support they get from the supposedly sensible people. You know, like I said, instead of finding another support outlet, like to go help veterans, help elders, help dogs, help children, help homeless, help. I mean, there's so many things that they could do and get credit for it. Um, even humanitarian stuff they can do. They rather support some protesting maniac that has a behavioral health problem and wants to create havoc, right? Like anarchy, basically. That's my problem with the trans vendors, whatever you call them. I don't give a shit what they do, right? We don't really care what they do as long as they don't hurt other people, like sports. You can't do that, man. That just, there's no explaining. If you have to explain something that fundamental, then we have a serious problem, you know. Uh, it's a shame that we can't just deal with it. Um, and get it off the table, right? Their 15 minutes of fame is already done. They got the attention they wanted. Well, let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. You know, if they cause a problem and they start doing stupid shit like going into women's bathrooms and doing the sports, arrest them. Um, at some point, people, at some point, we have to start backing up our brothers and sisters. We have to do what the guy did on the rail train in New York City. You know, um, now he's going to appeal all that. Being charged with manslaughter, second degree manslaughter, or what have you. Who gives a shit? New York City with neglect to its people. So he's not going to get a fair trial there. And again, that's the indignant, arrogant black African Americans that are wielding this new power they have, and it hasn't been that long, folks. It really hasn't, you know. They haven't since what they got out of slavery and all of a sudden they're attorneys. No, those are very, very select few. You can count on your hand. And then as the time went on, more went, but those are very few people that made it, and they have more sensibility and 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 straight thinking than than you know the whole the whole continent of Africa. So they just started to really just after 9/11 started to really acquire and and be eligible for these high top ranking positions in government and in private sector. And now that they have it, it's like they want to ruin it. And they want to, hey, now that I have this power, you're gonna listen to me, and I'm gonna, and they get all indignant. And it should just be obvious of why they're doing that. Okay, they don't know how to behave. They don't know how to. Just because he's a professional doesn't mean that they know exactly what to do. There's a lot of people who are professionals that don't know how to do their job. But these people have a agenda. They have a revenge, attitude. They have a, they're going to express themselves to deliver a point across the nation because they have never had this attention before. Not ever. The power, and they're going to get the power because that's the way we operate here in the United States, and they're abusing it. Okay. Instead of honoring it and saying, yes, sir, here's my opinion, but here's my actual job. This is what I have to do. Those are two different things. But nope, they want to be silly, stupid, and who they are. We can point them out. All the Democratic run states. A lot of judges and doctors and lawyers in New York City. Uh, you know, so it's absurd. I get and the thing is, a lot of people know this. Some people don't put it to thought, but they feel it, right? Like, yeah, that they're just expressing themselves because they have angered heart, with all this slavery and all this stuff that went on in the past. And so they're gonna go full board ahead, and they're gonna not care whether they fool themselves, or they make a fool of themselves, or anything. So we have to keep them in check. All right, transvestites, got to get rid of them, guys. I can't wait to see Donald Trump back in office. All right. I get tired of seeing the feminine. I believe both. I can't wait to see him back in office. Um, it's going to be great to finally get some stuff organized. The border, all this is purposely uh, organized, and they're doing it for a purpose. And you know um and anybody right in anyone's right mind, you know you you know you know that something like the border issue is a critical national security issue, and it's a balance fiscally with how what it's going to cause and damage to our financial resources. Right? It's obvious. A kid could think about that. you know, and You know, you look at all these people crossing the border, and not one of them have any skills whatsoever. You have no idea where these people have come from, what they have seen, what they've dealt with. I mean, what kind of industry is in Mexico besides the stuff that's already allocated for the people with the education, the people with the work history, and they have to be in the location. But a good 85 to 90% of the people are in poverty. You know, so yeah, they all. Oh yeah, we're getting all the doctors and the lawyers coming over here wanting to help the United States build a better nation. Yeah, no. Uh, have you seen these people? It's disgusting. I'm protecting my home, people. I don't know about you guys, but if you guys want to give up on protecting our nation, then go ahead and give up. It'll just make my job a lot harder, but you know what? I'll enjoy it. Okay? So do something, protect our nation, have a voice, say something. Just stop being afraid of these people. Say Mexican, say black. Gotta stop being afraid of confronting, our African American brothers and sisters, our Mexican brothers and sisters here. We gotta stop being afraid of confronting them. It's a bunch of bullshit. So, if you find a good way to do it, then do it. You know, say, hey, look, you're wrong, man. Stop being so sensitive you know, about being black. You indignant black ass. I mean, if you get mad, that's what you got to say. Don't be afraid. You know. So once we start sticking up for ourselves and you start laying down the law, then it'd be a lot more difficult for any race to want to put fear in its neighbors, right? And that happened a lot in Iraq, where in Iraq you got terrorists and then you got gangsters, and we had to deal with all of them. And so their purpose is to put fear in people. Use the system that they have running, which is really nothing, and use it to their advantage to put the fear in you that you're going to get killed, you're going to be beaten up, you're going to be all sorts of stuff, right? And that's what they do. That's what their job is. Okay, and I refuse to see our people live that way, right? Um, yeah, it sucks to go through the whole process of being charged for something, but there comes a point where the sacrifice has to get done. You know, um, it takes a lot of time to get out of a situation like that. It's like getting a parking ticket, or getting stopped by the police, and you have to go through all that crap to get it taken care of. It takes a lot of your time away, but hey, your time is what the nation needs, right? That's what it needs, man. And so we just have to be careful about what we're doing, and we need to address it. We can't let it go. All right. The hell with people pushing everybody around. Right. You want to act and you want to have a behavior problem, well then I'm gonna fucking take care of it. Okay. So I'll do the same thing. I'm not afraid. Um, I'll protect anybody from getting beat up. I'll protect you know, I'll back somebody up for being yelled at. I'll back somebody up for being ganged up upon because they're yeah. So uh, um, I think we're headed towards that direction, and it's good because we have to start with this no nonsense crap. All right, we have to have no nonsense. We got a lot of other issues we need to deal with. All right, we got some serious matters that we need to deal with, and Russia's not going to wait for us. Iran's not going to wait for us. The Middle East is not going to wait for us. We got people we need to protect. We got friends we need to protect. And we need to get ready to consolidate. Right? We can't be living and scarfing on our natural resources and taking them away from everybody. We need to start consolidating then. So what happens at that point? We need to start bringing nations closer together. You know, we need to start preserving and learning how to um, 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 preserve. Right? You need to do better. And so a lot of that's happening now. You just don't see it because it's a minute issue. It's a minute situation that's just happening. But Trump's aware of it, um, and he needs to get back into the House and just finish what he started, and then we can go from there. But definitely, we need to set hold up our standards that we had in the United States. We keep our standards, and we can't let ourselves, all right, each other, um, be degraded. Be hassled, be scared. Put them in fear. We can't do that, people. We cannot do that. All right. So thanks for listening. I'm yapping on too much. It's a nice morning here. My dogs are out way over there on a cactus, searching some lizards. Um, it's Saturday. I need to get some letters together to give to Juan Ciscomani, my congressperson, on Monday. I want to create a little folder for him to show the path been that I have taken to get where I am today, and maybe there's an option for me where I can get some support from this fella. I voted for him, and I did file a complaint against Kirsten Cinema, a ethics complaint. She didn't give me any options to follow through with such a severe case. Instead, she's using the standard operating procedures against me, which is being used against me already. So through the VA. So filing a complaint against her, and it's good. So I'd like to meet her and talk to her, and but I don't think that will happen. But I sure would like to meet Juan Ciscomani now, and give him some details, and actually have him put eyes on me and look to see what I'm actually dealing with, and uh, that'd be it. But I'll keep you guys up to date on my progress, and I'll let you guys know if there's some positive stuff happening and some negative. All right. So thanks for listening. Bye.